to another episode of Everything Imaginable. I am your host, Gary Cacciolillo. And before we get started, I want to thank everybody for listening and also thank the contributors to my show, who are Candace Sanderson, author of The Reluctant Messenger, Joseph Sinkovic, author of How to Kiss the Universe, Ms. Aida, author, psychic, spellcaster, root worker, and witch. You can find her at MsAida.com, MISSAIDA.com. And this episode is being sponsored by Ginger Glasser. She's a tarot reader, evidential medium, and healer, and you can find her at tarotbyginger.com. And also, this episode is being sponsored by Alan Questel, and you can find him at uncommonsensing.com. And his new book out is called Intentional Acts of Kindness, which you can find on Amazon, and that is Alan Questel. And now, without further ado, our guest for today is Von Braschle, and if you listen to this show, you'll know who he is, and he has written books on pretty much every subject that I cover on this podcast. And today we're going to talk a little bit about lucid dreaming and kind of go from there. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Gary. Good to be with you.
As well. So we're going to talk a little bit about the lucid dreaming and one of your new scrolls that you have coming out. So what motivated you to write a scroll on lucid dreaming?
Right. Scrolls indeed. Well, they're about as old as lucid dreams, which are thousands of years old. We got to thinking about how books are longer, than people often have time to read. So we thought of doing something that was more concise and maybe fun to handle, So we came up with the idea of two scrolls, actually a scroll system. That is to say, a scroll in the left hand, a scroll in the right hand. Mm-hmm. And these are nice pines, and they're actual pine. You can really smell pretty wood scrolls. And we have this kind of antique paper and antique type. And it's now you think about all the scrolls that have been found, and how they've endured for thousands of years. And books just don't last that long. You put them out in the window and they quickly, deteriorate. Mm-hmm. So, I've been personally inspired by the Nag Hammadi library and all those Gnostic books and Gospels. Mm-hmm. And the Coptic books, the Essene books. Mm-hmm. And, it is not that long since they discovered the Babylonian tablets. And all of these were buried, all of these were buried. So we came up with the idea of a scroll, which is like a concise book. And it summarizes the wisdom of a topic, the ancient wisdom, and it kind of brings it up to date. And we package them in a plastic box. You could bury it in your backyard if you like. But we have a whole series now, and they're called the Ancient Wisdom series, or Ancient Wisdom Scrolls. The first was Past Lives, and this was, of course, Lucid Dreams. And next year we're coming out with two more, and they most likely will be. There's actually six more. The next year will be on elementals and nature spirits. So I think it's going to be called like elementals, nature spirits, and guides. And because, a lot of people have animal guides.
Yeah.
I think we all do. And then we have one coming out on amulets, talismans, and charms.
Oh, nice.
It's because, this is very big in our society. Everybody wears some kind of an emblem on their coat or their shirt or their shoes. And it all has some meaning. Sometimes it's your, team affiliation. Sometimes it's what you believe in. Some people get tattoos. Mm-hmm. Not me. I'm a coward. I don't do it. No. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Okay. But, the idea of the lucid dreams, was one of the first ones I wanted to do when Red Feather came up with this idea. And I said, we've got to do lucid dreams because my gosh, it's how people learn about themselves and the world around them. It's probably the only time anybody is truly awake is when they're dreaming. And we're talking, of course, not just about common stress dreams, but lucid, vivid dreams of impact and importance, the dreams that you really, really remember. And that's what we've chosen to do this about, lucid dreaming.
What's the difference between a regular dream and a lucid dream?
Yeah, I like to say a lucid dream is when a dream is more than a dream, because common dreams are like they have to do with your stress level. Let's say you go to sleep and you go to bed at night and you're not totally at rest. The body is restless. You have unresolved matters that are turning and churning in your mind. Your mind isn't, your physical mind isn't really asleep either. It's processing all this information, trying to resolve all of these problems of the past and worries about the future. The analytical physical mind, it just rarely rests. It just keeps on cranking. And I can understand that. I once rented a place for a newspaper up in Alaska, and it used to be a bank, and I plugged in this old adding machine, and then I went swimming with my son, and I came back, there were fire trucks everywhere because this crazy adding machine kept cranking away, trying to resolve some problem that had been put in it long ago, and it was a bank, and it was just cranking and cranking and cranking until it just caught fire, and it was a terrible thing. But I think that's the way our analytical brains are. We go to bed at night, but we're not really asleep. Well, lucid dream is when your body, physical body, and your analytical physical mind are at rest, and then your inner consciousness, your spirit that dwells within, comes out. And so for a lot of people, for thousands of years, they've referred to these sort of dreams as windows of the soul, windows to the soul, because it's been long thought, going back thousands of years, the Egyptians, the Akkadians, and the Greeks, that this was a part of the soul that actually leaves us during sleep. And it is the soul longing to get out and explore and learn, and is the part of you that really should be encouraged to explore. So for many people, these dreams are divine revelation, they're prophecy, they're certainly insightful. So a lucid dream then is a vivid dream. It is a dream that you're going to really, really remember. It is very vivid, very colorful. You're very aware of being in the dream. You're very aware that you're dreaming. You do not play all the parts, like Freud suggested.
Right.
And cigars don't play a part. We're not talking about symbolism. We're talking about really important things. And so these dreams, they usually are trying to resolve deep-rooted, serious questions or concerns of our inner self, because that's the part of you that leaves. It is your energized consciousness, the spirit that dwells within, or if you will, your soul that leaves the body physically, leaves this body and goes out and explores. And everything that it sees, it carefully observes with a greater awareness than your five physical senses could ever offer you during your waking hours. And for many people, these sort of dreams, these lucid dreams, are they're inadvertent. They're not planned. They just come to you. And I suggest here in this publication that it is actually a lucky thing, because it is your inner self that longs to be free, to explore, to learn, to know, and it leaves you, and this is a great thing. It's an awakening, and but it happens inadvertently to most people, and then they're kind of they're happy about the experience, They're a bit confused because it's like no other dream they've ever had. And if you've had a lucid dream, you know it was a lucid dream. It's a special dream because it feels real and it feels like it's full of importance and significance, and you'd better pay attention. It's not just kind of, our common dreams are going over routine things based on information that's previously stored in our physical minds, a perfect, storage data bank of your past experiences during your waking hours. So it's limited to all those things. And so what you're basically seeing are reruns, or you're if not reruns, you're seeing scenes played out as the mind tries to analyze and resolve situations. It's analysis. For most people, common stress dreams like this are uncomfortable, but a lucid dream is a wondrous thing. And I show it, I think, in this publication, Lucid Dreams, that for thousands of years, many civilizations have seriously looked to lucid dreaming as important dream work to resolve questions and explore and to organize their lives in a meaningful way. They're an important thing for people. And this goes all the way back to the ancient Sumer city of Sumer, goes back to the Mesopotamians, Assyrians, the Babylonians, as this was truly a part of ancient Acadia. And then beyond that, the Egyptians would actually, and this goes back to 2000 BC, the Egyptians would induce these dreams because they knew they were significant, And the Greeks, actually, the ancient Greeks, actually came up with the first dream book, in the 5th century BC. And they thought these were very important dreams. So they induced dreams to provide them with direction in their lives and for divine guidance. And they actually had dream temples where you would go to have these dreams. There would be attendants at these dream temples to help you dream. Now, you can actually program a dream. You can do this sort of dream work. And in these sort of wonderful dreams we call lucid dreams do not need to be inadvertent.
How can a person purposely have a lucid dream?
Yeah. So, I show how a person actually puts the body fully to sleep, and that your physical body is at rest so that you're not restless in bed. Now, you could do this also on a couch during the day, as you would say, like a daydream. You could, and then the important part is putting the physical mind to rest. And the technique that I explore is very similar to what you would call personal hypnosis, where you will the feet to become heavy and go to sleep, and then you order your legs to become heavy and they become numb, and then they go to sleep, and then your torso, and then your chest and your arms, all the way to the top of your head. Put your whole body completely to rest. And then finally, you suggest to your physical mind that it needs to rest. And I think the important thing, as in meditation or anything where you try to reach an altered state, it's important to have a sense of whole body harmony. It's very important that you think holistically of the body, the mind, the spirit, so that your physical body is willing to shut down, that the analytical mind that is willing to go to a rest state, and that it surrenders itself so that your inner consciousness then can come forward. And that's the vehicle you want to leave. That's that you need. Most people think that dreams happen inside your head, meaning your physical brain. And this is true of the common stress dream, but it is not how lucid dreams happen. It is your inner consciousness that comes forward and leaves the body.
Interesting. When a person has a lucid dream, are they able to control their actions in the dream and where they're going and what they're doing and who they're talking to versus an unconscious dream?
Yeah, that is a primary difference. That you know that you're an active participant and that you're in charge, because your consciousness has left the body, and it is unencumbered by any physical limitations. And it is literally energized consciousness. It is pure energy that's left the body, and it's intelligent energy too, so that your consciousness then leaves the body and then has these sort of encounters. And in these dreamscape scenarios, you are quite aware of what you're doing, and you have a great deal of control. So what I try to do is describe how to set up a dream purposefully, to plan the dream out so that you pre-visualize exactly where you want to go and and when, because you understand that a dream like this outside the body, there is no up or down, there is no sense of time or a space or time. You can literally go anywhere. You see, you can go back in time, forward in time. You can go to exotic locations because you're leaving the body. There are no physical limitations, and you could instantly go anywhere in a lucid dream because it is your intelligent consciousness, your energized consciousness that's leaving the body. And it is pure energy, and it travels at the speed of light. So I think the thing to do is to put the body to rest and then pre-visualize exactly where you want to go. But as with meditation, in lucid dreaming, we have to remember to be very, very careful not to involve the physical analytical mind in setting up or conducting the dream. And what I mean is, when you visualize where you want to go and what you want to see in your dream, you don't use words, you don't use sounds, because this is nothing that your physical mind can help you with. It doesn't know how to do this. So what you do is, once you put the physical mind to rest, then you patiently wait for your inner consciousness to come forward and do this. And it paints pictures. It is like pictograph. And on this slate in front of you, in front of the mind's eye, on this, you wait for the darkness to form inside you. And then you see this perfect slate. And then you begin to draw a picture of where you want to go, what you want to see. If you do this technique with visualizing with pictures and not with words or sounds, you're going to be much better off, because you're not going to be involving your analytical mind, which is totally incapable of taking you where you want to go.
Fascinating. Is when a person has a lucid dream, this is sort of a two-sided question. The landscape that the dreamscape or landscape that they enter,
Yeah.
is it a physical one or is it astral? And if it is astral, then what is the difference between lucid dreaming and astral travel?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, this is like astral travel, but it's astral travel deluxe, because you're taking all of your subtle energy body with you, all of your consciousness on the astral plane, on the astral body. You're taking the consciousness and energy that corresponds to your mental body, your causal body, your Buddhic body, so forth and so on. All of your all of your subtle energy bodies that correspond to various planes of existence. So, yeah, so the astral travel vision way of looking at things is very much like what we're talking about. But you can go anywhere. To answer your question, you can go anywhere.
Mhm.
And you think how when people will be regressed, let's say by a psychologist, they say go back as far as you can go, and tell me what you see, and they go into like kind of hypnotic trance, and they put them under, and then in this altered consciousness state, they go back and they remember when they were 3 years old or 4 years old, and they describe where they are, and they describe the people around them. You can do all of that, but you can go back even earlier. You can go anywhere. You could go to a mountaintop, to the beach. Um, what I like to do is I like to put myself on a beach. It's very nice place to take a walk and think about things. But also back to the astral projection analogy, when you do lucid dreaming, because you are taking all of your subtle energy bodies with you that correspond to the mental plane, the emotional plane, and so forth and so on, you tend to go to the planes of existence, or you have a cast or a coloring of many times when you visit someplace in your dream for insights that would not be like, oh, take me back to the year 1979. I want in Toledo. I want to be back with my friends, and you could do all of that, but you could also, choose to learn something on a mental level, and then you would have a dream that would be kind of cast in yellow, because it would be led by your mental subtle body. So you see, a lot of the dreams that people have will tend to be cast in like a yellow light, or a soft blue light, or maybe an orange light,
Mhm.
uh, because these are colors that are associated with various planes of existence, and we energize them or access them through subtle energy body levels that thinking back to the chakras, it would be the corresponding primary color of that chakra for that area of your body. So many people will have dreams that kind of look like they're in a yellow world or an orange world. And that's perfectly legit, because what you are is one of two things. You're either in a subtle you're in an alternate plane of reality, which is just as real as this physical plane, or what took you there was primarily one aspect of yourself that longs to find answers. Back to the mental body, you'll go to a mental plane. So a lot of where people go in their lucid dreams are to explore their inner self. You see, you're actually looking for answers, and the answers are all around us, and they're accessed through our subtle energy bodies, which we take with us when we leave the body in lucid dreaming.
So, what are some of the have you had any personal experiences with this lucid dreaming technique, and
Mm-hmm.
and gotten the answers that you're looking for?
Yeah, and if you ask for specific questions
Yeah.
to be answered, it's a lot better than going to Lady Fortima to have her read cards for you, because you're going to go and actually find out the answer. You're actually you're going to make a trip, and it's going to be a trip of discovery, and you're going to bring back answers.
Mhm.
And it's important to pack for any trip everything you need. And everything you need here are all the right questions. You need to have an agenda, what you want to learn or what you want to explore. And any place you want to dive in here with an idea, like, I mean, these can be sketched out as just basically rough ideas, like, I want to know more about this, or I want to explore that. It doesn't have to be an elaborate plan. It's a point of departure, and then I mean, I've had wonderful experiences with lucid dreaming. Once I learned how to control and program and plan out my lucid dreams, I began to have, continuation lucid dreams. I would return to lucid dreams, recurring lucid dreams. I even learned to do like shared dreams, which are really amazing. And you can find out a whole lot about yourself. And isn't that what people really want to know? They want to know about themselves.
Some people do, at least.
Yeah. I mean, we all have basic questions, like, and the basic questions, right, are like, who am I and why am I here? Because
That's a good one.
I mean, we all have a sense like we're here, and it's like, why are we here? Is it to make sandwiches and watch TV? I mean, why are we here? I mean, there must be some reason, and yet most of us are born with this amnesia. We don't understand why we're here. I mean,
Mhm.
it seems like children kind of have a better handle on it, but as we get socialized and we begin to live our everyday workaday world life, it seems that we kind of lose track of who we are and why we're here. Everybody probably has an agenda in mind when they come here, whether you want to call it a mission or a destiny. There's a reason why you're here, and we've forgotten why we made the journey.
That's interesting, that what you just said, because, my guess is that children probably don't even have to use effort to
Yeah.
have lucid dreams, to have those experiences. And then as we get older, it's almost like we're programmed out of having those experiences. And we have to
Yeah.
kind of revert back to that childhood openness, that idea that imagination is real, is a real place.
Oh, yeah. I mean, children seem to have a much deeper grasp of this. They see angels in trees, and they're aware of things that the rest of us have stopped seeing. Some of the best research on remembering past lives come from people who have studied children, who have no way to fake this. They're just telling what they think.
Interesting. I had a dream once. This was a really weird one. And I think this like was an unintentional lucid dream. I had a dream that I was there was a city, and outside of the city there was this little village, and in this little village, there's people live these little houses. They're really basic. They have, like, a sink, a bed, and basically a few other things. But the job of the people living in those little shacks, their job was to dream. So
Yeah.
it was and the people from this other city would come and take care of the people in this village just so they could be left alone to dream. So
Yeah.
I had a dream about a village of dreamers. It was really strange, but it seemed very, very real to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dreaming is really, really important. We've had in the past kings that planned their every move, with this. We've had leaders that have built temples, based on prophetic dreams.
Mhm.
Dreams have been very, very key in history, and people believe in their dreams. I mean, you think of the ancient Morpheus mysteries, where people would worship the god of dreams, who would visit them with useful warnings and prophecy. And dreamers would seek this kind of counsel and cultivate their dreams. Well, dreamers are really important people, and I think a lot of ancient civilizations understood this better than us, you know. I mean, some of it comes down to us, but Hippocrates, the Greek father of healing, he believed the soul remains um, um, active at night and leaves us in our dream state. And Cicero, he said that all dreams are produced by human conscious thought and result in visions of an insightful nature. Well, all of us can do this. All of us are capable of dreaming. It's just allowing yourself the space, the peaceful setting, and setting ourselves up willfully to have these insightful dreams.
Mm.
Because the dreams they'll be intensely personal, but they also are dreams about others we know, and we dream about the world we live in. People often have prophetic dreams about what happens next, not just to them, but all of us. And these dreams come true.
Mm. That's true. People always have had prophetic dreams. Do you think that um the dream world is the true reality and this is actually the dream world?
Yes, I do. Yes, thank you. I mean, most people would, and maybe I should be embarrassed to say that, because this is the hard nuts and bolts. If you can measure it and weigh it, it's real. If you can't measure it and weigh it, it's not real. Well, that's just the way people think. We tend to think of only the physical that can be measured is real. Only what you can see with your physical eyes, is true. But there's so much more, and I think that it may truly be said that we're only truly awake when we're asleep and having these dreams, because I think the rest of it is like walking through a maze.
Mhm. Do you think that we can fix things in our dreams that are wrong with us in this reality?
I think we can learn in our dreams. I don't think you can so it will bounce back to you
Mhm.
personally in the here and now. But and I mean, in a sense you can, but what you're going to basically do in your dreams is learn things, because in your dream state you don't have physical hands, right? It's
Right.
not it's not like you can like lift mountains or something. I mean, you'd like to think you have this ultimate power in your dreams, but you're going there in a non-physical self, a non-physical body. So you have intelligent consciousness, you have energized consciousness, and that's what you have. And so you're on high alert with keen awareness in these dreams, but the insights you bring back are really powerful.
Do you think we dream when we're dead?
It's probably exactly what happens. I think people think too much about death, and they think that death is an ending. I think we don't understand death at all. I don't think we're truly alive when we're alive. I think we have the whole thing all mixed up in our heads. And I think it's just one endless journey of our soul trying to discover something.
It's weird, right? How we don't really. I agree with that. Like I think like when we're dead, we the consciousness still exists. I know that from my own experience with it,
Yeah.
but it's just strange. Like I wonder what it is. What is it that my soul is trying to do? What is it trying to figure out? What is it trying to grow in or evolve into?
Yeah, I've certainly had enough calls and in my life from people who were supposedly dead to know that death does not slow some people down.
No. um. So, how about you personally? Can you relate? a lucid dream that you've had where you've been successful in getting answers that you're looking for?
A lot of, yeah, and a lot of the dreams I've had involve people that I don't know in this physical world, and it's like these are other people, and it's kind of interesting. I mean, you can literally go anywhere in a lucid dream. So I mean, I keep running into all of these people now. I think that's not really atypical, because if you think about it, you talk to people about the most amazing dream they've ever had. Many people will recount to you what's commonly called the upper room, which is an experience where you're in a room. Typically, it's all white, and people sit on the floor, usually in a circle, and they squat, and they sit there. And then somebody comes and speaks to all of you and says something personal to each one of you simultaneously. The upper room is a thing that people seem to all experience, and I think it's a real common. I think it's so common that I think it really happens. And I've had that one, and that was really great. And there are certain people that I go to in my dreams, my lucid dreams, that tell me things. I have teachers there, and it's I get instruction there. It is really amazing. I meet people there that apparently I know from previous lives, and I meet them, and I know that this is true because I've met one or two of them later on, and in fact, I just I met them first in a dream, and then I encountered them in the world during the daytime, and I say, oh my gosh, and these are like, I think we tend to link up with our cluster soul group, this group of people that probably follows us from one life to another. Maybe, your mother in one life and your sister in the next life, that kind of thing. Or maybe it was the person who was your neighbor, or maybe it was, your teacher, and in this life, it's your nephew. We seem to have a certain group of people that follow us from life to life. And I seem to encounter them in my lucid dreams, and I get some validation in that I later meet these people. And in the case of my dream teacher, in lucid dreaming, I mean, I've been passed from one lucid dream teacher to another, uh, um, if you will, and you've been given assignments and tests and classroom instruction, in a sense, and I think that we can learn in our dreams in that way. There's a place that I always tend to go in my dreams, and I meet with someone there who gives me instruction, and the instruction is extremely esoteric and extremely metaphysical, and has really opened my eyes to a lot of things that looking back are obvious, but in the beginning seemed incredibly far out. But I think everybody has this potential to do this. It's all what's important to you. I think there's an inner part of us, our inner self, if you will, our higher self, if you will, that longs to get out and explore. And it does it in dreams if you let it. The first time I had a lucid dream was accidental. I fell on my back, and I fell backwards, and I knocked the wind out of me, and I hit a point on my spine that triggered something, and I was suddenly floating above the house. First of all, I was floating above the room, and then I was floating above the house, and then I was floating above the trees, and then I was looking down at where we lived, and then I was just kind of aimlessly floating about. And I came back and I said, I have to figure out how to do that again, and I have to figure out how to do it where I'm not like so amazed and scared, and I have to do it with some direction, you know, and I did, and about the third time I did, I said, I really have no idea how to go anywhere or do anything or what's possible. You know, it's like I just keep floating above the trees, looking down at the house, and then I would think of my body down below, and then I'd be back in my body, which is very easy to do. You know, when you leave the body in a lucid dream, all you have to do is think back to the physical body, and boom, you're back. You know, it's really easy to return. There's nothing scary about it. But you know, I mean, in my case, I looked for somebody to guide me and lead me, you know, in my dreams. I visualized a dream teacher, and I started to draw what this dream teacher looked like, and bingo bango, you know, about the third, fourth time I did this, and I'm floating over the house, and I feel somebody grabbing my hand and saying, "Where do you want to go?" And I said, "Where can we go?" And they said, no, it doesn't work that way. You have to tell me where you want to go, you know. And we explored many things together, you know, and eventually she took me to her teacher and said, "This man can help you." And she pawned me off on this man. It was pretty amazing. There are many stories, and they're all unique to each person who's ever done lucid dreaming. But a lucid dream is not like a restless dream where you're having a nightmare and you're fighting a dragon and all of this craziness, you know. It's not like, you know, dealing with all the problems you've ever had. I have actually used lucid dreams personally to resolve what you might call common stress dreams, you know. And for instance, people who are often in a common nightmare scenario where they're being chased and they can't get away, or their feet are like mud, they can't run, or they seem powerless, you know, and they say, "Well, what are you going to do?" You know, so what I do, you know, I've had recurring stressor dreams ever since I was quite young. And like a lot of people, they're the same dream over and over and over. We commonly call this what? Nightmares. So you have the same nightmare over and over and over. And I don't think I'm unique in that. I think a lot of people have the same recurring bad dreams. And these are unresolved questions that we can't resolve in our analytical mind, not when it's on full alert. Well, when you're half asleep, it's even worse. So what I've done is I one of the first things I did when I became pretty good at lucid dreaming was I actually visualized going into one of these scenarios and setting up the scene and resolving it. And boom, I did it in a night, you know. Wow. You know, all those years of that nightmare, you know, now we resolved the question. So, you know, it is a way to resolve questions, you know. Lucid dreaming is a way to find answers to questions that you cannot answer during the day. You know, if you have a really big problem and you can't figure out the answer, well, visualize going to that problem and exploring it in depth in a lucid dream, because you're going to have an awareness in a lucid dream that's going to be much keener than you bring to it during your daylight hours. You're going to have intelligent energy in the form of your inner consciousness visiting it, you know, and this is all good. So you asked earlier, Gary, whether a person could actually resolve problems, you know, in their dreams during a lucid dream. I think there is actually a way to do this, and I hesitate to say that you can change your life in a dream, other than seek information, which is of course very valuable. There is this that you can go in a lucid dream and bring this intelligent energy with you, this consciousness, and you can project healing energy to yourself in a dream. You can go to an experience in your past, visit it, and then project energy to you. Now, you're not going to heal yourself back then if it's something in the past that worries you, but the energy comes to you now, you see. So if you have let's say an illness right now, you could actually, visit that illness and send energy to yourself in a dream. You are very, very powerful in terms of energy in a dream.
So does that sort of go along with the idea that, like, if you focus energy and heal starting on the astral body or one of the other energy bodies,
Mm-hmm.
that it will trickle down
It'll,
and
yeah,
eventually fix the physical body that
that's it.
we're
That's
think we're in
the
now.
That's the principle. That's the principle. So what you do is, like, you go, and you don't have to visit yourself in the past. If you have I don't know, a bum leg or something right now, and you can visualize visiting that in a lucid dream. And then in the lucid dream you go, and then you project healing energy, to it. And then the healing energy actually will trickle down to the physical in the here and now, because you're all connected. That part we tend to think of that dream scenario as a different you, but it's the same you. It is a part of you. It is your non-physical self. We have to think holistically of us as being more than just our physical body. We're much more than that. So what we're saying then is, in a lucid dream, is you're separating, and you're leaving the physical part of you in a state of peaceful repose briefly, while you leave and take the rest of you and go somewhere else. And that could be anywhere. It could be hovering over your sick physical body and projecting energy to it.
Do you think that, maybe, if I'm not me, or like, when at first I'll start here actually. Can I like can two people meet, purposely have a lucid dream at the same time and meet in the dream world?
Yeah. So shared dreaming is a wonderful thing. And it works best if you have a closeness to that other person. It works best if there's two of you. It could be like a group. It could be a group. It works best. It's easier if it's two people who are closely linked. It would work well with twins, spouses, siblings, like that. So yeah, you what you do is you program and visualize having the same dream at the same time, and then you both go to the dream place, and then you both leave the body, at roughly the same time, meaning that night. You say, well, we're going to do this tonight, like around 7 o'clock, let's say. So you put yourself in a state of relaxation. You put the mind and the body to sleep. You visualize where you want to go, and then you leave the body, and you enter a lucid dream state simultaneously at the same time, going to the same place. And what's wonderful about this is then you have, well, first of all, you have, the wondrous stories that you can share with someone of having had this lucid dream. But you can also get together and recount what you've dreamed about and begin to analyze it. It's very powerful. And also, like two people chanting or two people singing a song, or two people having a dream together, is twice as powerful.
Do you think, like when the two people meet in a dream, now, because you mentioned like this holistic view idea too, are we maybe just all part of the same soul?
Yeah. And that's pretty much it, isn't it? There's
You
only one,
know?
there's only one soul, and we're all little fragments of it. This is the sadness, is that people don't recognize that they're fragments of it. You know, it's also been said that we're all specks of light, of one great light, one great flame.
Mhm.
You know, there's only one soul, and it's all of us. People seem to think they're so individual and they're so separated and isolated from every other person. In truth, we're all part of the same soul. And our consciousness, can merge with others. You think of like Carl Jung, the depth psychologist who
Mhm.
actually believed in the power of lucid dreaming. Carl Jung, he believed in universal consciousness, the idea that we could all share consciousness. I think this is absolutely true, and you could certainly do that in lucid dreaming.
You think lucid dreaming is like, I don't know, was like for us, like was like the beginning of mysticism?
Yeah, the ancients believed that you would use it for insight, divine guidance, prophecy, and for healing. They absolutely believed in the power of lucid dreaming for healing, and they certainly believed that it was a way of receiving divine information or inspiration. It was also used to diagnose sickness. I mean, Aristotle believed that you'd use dreams to predict and diagnose sickness. So in other civilizations too, it absolutely.
Mhm. Wow. The whole idea of one of the things like I think like about is that we're probably we're all part of the same soul trying to understand itself. The only way it can understand itself is by creating this separateness.
That's right. That's right. So, I think at the end of the day, we're all just little specks of light, um, that connect. Excuse me. My alarm clock has forgotten what AM and PM mean. It goes off at the wrong time. Guess I need an alarm clock. Yeah, I think that we're all part of the same soul, and I think that we're all here to as scouts, to explore, to go on little side trips, scouting missions,
Mhm.
and find things and learn things and experience things. And we're going to all bring it back. And it's all going to be shared in the end. Because at the end of it, the end of your life, you're going to, like every, you know, classical arc of a hero's journey, you're going to return home. You go through this life, and it's a long life, and there's many ups and downs and challenges and things in your way, and then you go through a deep in the middle, you go through midlife crisis where there's a deep abyss of the soul, the dark hour of the soul, and then you come out of it. And then if you're fortunate and you've actually encountered and defeated many obstacles along the way, then you become transformed as you become older, and then you have the return home in the end. And for Odysseus, it was going home to Ithaca. And for little Dorothy and Toto, it was going back home to the farm in Kansas. And for us, it will be going back to death. Yes, death, but it will be going back home to source. And then when we return home to source, we're going to do it all over again. So it I think life is like a series of circles, life after life, and you just keep going through this journey of discovery. And the best way I've found is to is to discover things through lucid dreaming. Now, having said that there are many ways to reach a level of alternate uh, uh, um, consciousness, altered consciousness. You could do it through meditation. You know, in the shamanic world, they induce, you know, visions. You know, they go into a deep sleep, and they do dream walking. You know, there are many ways to do this. Hypnosis. You know, there are many ways. You know, and some people they just have, you know, like daydreams, or they have visions. You know, so they just pop up. You know, they just come to them. You know, but I think that the idea of learning in your dreams is a wonderful thing. You know, think of it. Your body is just resting there, you know, getting, you know, all restful during the night while you are going and exploring. It's a wondrous thing. And it is truly a way to experience altered consciousness.
It's definitely the one way is probably natural to every human being. That's not going to take meditation or, you know.
Yeah. And you look at all these civilizations. Early China, they believed that the soul was free from the body during sleep, where you visit a dream realm. In early India, they believed that the soul departs the body in divine guidance during a dream state through higher consciousness. Early Welsh history is filled with a story involving someone who visited the time of King Arthur, you know, and there seems to be just in all civilizations these wondrous stories, you know. The Mexican natives believe that the dream is a portal for the soul to contact people beyond this realm. You know, early Judaism, early Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, all of them, early Jews, they believed that dreams were insightful lessons. You know, we have the story of Jacob's ladder is a dream, you know, and unfortunately now in Christianity, we have good examples like Saint Jerome and Saint Augustine, who were powerful dreamers, you know, and their dreams were part of their discovery process. But then we went through the Protestant Reform and the Catholic Inquisition, and they saw dreams as something dark from evil. You know, they said that dreams were like from the handiwork of the Prince of Darkness. And we went through a period in Christianity like that, where we didn't want to talk about dreams, and then dream work was less popular in the West. And then the Renaissance rescued dreams. You know, that we came back with all these wonderful paintings like Gauguin and so forth, where they would they would depict dreaming as a way of discovery. So this all kind of changed, you know. With the Renaissance, and golly sakes, I mean, look at the paintings of Gauguin and Rousseau and Goya and Salvador Dali and Picasso. They all showed dreamers. You know, they're all paintings inspired by dreamers in the incredible vision of dreamers.
I wonder too if that's a reflection too of a reality that we can create here at this dimension.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is certainly something we can create. It's all within our ability. I like to think of this world as only half formed. You know, I mean, you don't have to look too hard to see that this world that's set in stone is changing day to day in front of us. It is not as solid and fixed as we like to think. You know, I look out and I see, well, you know, the tree hasn't grown. It looks the same as yesterday. But then I come back in 20 years and it's very different. That everything changes in front of us, and there's dynamic change everywhere around us. But we're part of that change. We're an integral part of that change. We're a co-creator of our own reality.
That is the cool
We are.
part.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're needed in this world, not only for our observations and as scouts who go out and discover things and bring it back to the collective consciousness, but we're also needed in this world to keep it going. I mean, this world is not like it is not set in stone. It is a changeable world.
Hmm. It's also, when I think about like the wholeness, the lucid dreaming, this world being half of a reality, or part of it, and us being scouts and all of that, you know, it makes me think like, we really do have the ability for all of us to get along and live in peace with each other.
You would think so.
If we recognize the fact that we all come from the same source, that we're
Yeah,
all having a similar experiences but different variations of it, you
yeah.
know,
I think
why do we should be able to eliminate some of the struggle to.
you would think so. I mean, I think a lot about this too, Gary. And I think like why? The only conclusion I can come up with is many people don't understand that we're all connected, that we're all interrelated and all interdependent, that we're all from the same source, that we're
Mhm.
all essentially part of the one spirit, the one soul. And they think that every one of us is like a universe to itself, and it's like it's a crazy way to live a life, because everything in this world, in the other planes of reality that some of us explore, are actually part of a dynamic universe that all of us are actually living in,
Mhm.
you know, and yet most people, I think, just think that they're living this separate life. And it's impossible to live a separate life, because we're all dependent on everything that's here,
Mhm.
from the sun that comes up, to the rain that falls down and waters everything. I mean, it's like, gosh, I mean, it's kind of obvious
Yeah, I mean,
in a sense.
those are some of the basic tenets of like Buddhism is interconnectedness and impermanence.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that yeah, I think that we're on the verge, though, of a great reawakening, where we're going to all suddenly become really extremely aware of all of this, and the day is coming, it's coming, and it's not going to happen simultaneous for everyone, unfortunately. But this great awakening is like, if you think of how people are just sleepwalking through life, kind of unaware of any of this, of the reality of our interconnectedness, and how all of life, is dynamically changing and involved in every part of our being. And then I think at some point, there's going to be a great reawakening where people are stirred from this slumber, you know, this shadow world, that this haziness that we live in, this maze that we're wandering through, and it's going to be readily apparent to them. They're going to see with new eyes and hear with new ears all at once, and we can get a taste of that in lucid dreaming.
I think it's happening. I do think that there is some type of consciousness awakening happening now as we're talking. I mean, I always say that even since I started this podcast, for me, my own personal experience has changed my entire perspective.
Oh yeah, and and we're all changing. Everything is changing all around us constantly, including us. We're not the same people who started this conversation.
No,
And in 7 days, I know that all of my blood will have been renewed. And in a month or so, all of the cells of my body will be new. I'll be essentially a reborn person. I won't be the same person. And minute by minute, we're all given the opportunity to realize this change. And moreover, it's instructive that ultimate change is possible for each one of us. I mean, huge changes are possible for each one of us. And we have only to look at our hands and our feet and our body that's constantly going through a renewal process to understand that nothing, including ourself, ever stays the same.
yeah, it's fascinating that everything. I don't know. Life is just fascinating in general. I don't understand how people can go through life and not ask these questions and
I
wonder
don't
about
I
it,
don't know.
but they do.
Yeah, and they think it's just a big Easter egg hunt. Whoever gets the most eggs wins. Whoever stands on top of all of the bodies, wins, and everyone else loses. It's just. I mean, I know people that don't even believe in sporting events. I mean, I do, but but a lot of people don't, and the reason is because there's got to be a winner and got to be a loser. I mean, every time there's a boxing match, somebody gets beat up, and what
Yeah,
is that? What is that? That's like human cockfighting, isn't it?
it is.
I mean, I used to be a boxer, so I guess I'm allowed to say that. But it's kind of crazy when you think about it. That that's what they think of life. The nature of life is to be well and to operate harmoniously and efficiently, uh, and to bask in the sunlight. As long as you can, and then do it all over again. you know, you know?
Yeah, I look at it as just I don't know, to have fun. That's what I want to do with my life anyway. Is to learn as much as I can and have fun and hopefully make other people's lives a little bit better.
So I live on this little island, and a couple of amazing things happen. We were talking about how the orcas,
Mhm.
have been um, hard hit by many things: pollution, noise, the lack of salmon, because we dammed all the streams. There's no salmon for them to eat. And they've been bothered by marinas. They've been bothered by shows that it would capture them and put them on display. They've been bothered by many things: boats that bang into them, and sonar put by the Navy to bombard the sonar sounds under the water. Well, anyway, crossing on the ferry the other day from our island, I saw a mother orca with 3 babies. Now, now they only have one at a time.
Mhm.
So this mother orca was playing nursemaid to some others, and she was taking them out for what looked to be their first big outing because they were very little, and they were not going very fast. It was like, okay, we're going to swim as a group. We're going to all stay together. And here's the thing: all boats stopped and allowed them to pass. Everything stopped, including the ferry. And a couple of days later, another amazing thing happened. We have like harbor seals here. We do not have elephant seals here.
Mhm.
On the beach of the neighboring island, an elephant seal decided to have her pups on a public beach. And instantly the people around her cordoned off the area with rope and little cones so that she could have a little space of her own. And she now has the beach. And it's just her and her little ones. It's kind of amazing, you know. So I think there is hope for the future.
I think so too. I think, you know, right now there's just resistance. Whenever there's major change, there's going to be resistance. And
But we
in the
think
end,
we think
the
of
change is
everything
going to
as,
happen no matter what.
and one of the odd things about living in a physical world is that everybody thinks that everything is finite, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's only so much. There's only so much gold. You know, there's infinite amount of gold. We just haven't found it. It's out there. You know, there's only so many, you know, everything is limited, you know, and there's this idea that of scarcity, and
Mm-hmm.
people are just consumed by this idea of there being not enough of this or that. You know, and we know that in our world there's enough water if it were evenly distributed for everyone. There's enough food if it were evenly distributed for everyone. You know, we just haven't figured out how to share yet. But it's more than that. We think that it's we're in this kind of hunter gatherer mode still in our development, where we think people have to get as much as they can and hide it, you know, because golly sakes, there won't be any more.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, you know. But you know, I think things are going to change. You know, I mean, there's hope. I think people that listen to your program, I think they probably understand this, and it will spread. You know, but you know, you look back at the past and how people, you know, would dream, and they would share their dreams, and they would care about their communities. You know, going all the way back to the earliest, you know, civilizations in Sumer and in Egypt. You know, I mean, they had their problems, you know, as far as being developed people, but they were trying to find answers. They were really trying to induce dreams, to provide them with direction and healing and insight. And in our society, a lot of people have even stopped looking.
A lot of people, I think, are starting to look too. Because
Yeah,
if they weren't, I wouldn't have any listeners.
that's right. That's right.
And you wouldn't have any readers.
No.
We'd be out of business.
That's right. That's right.
So it's been fantastic having you on again, as
Thank you.
always.
Thank you.
And before we wrap it up, where's the best place for my listeners to find you?
Yeah. Well, you know, I do update my author page on the Amazon
Mm-hmm.
book page. So, you know, I tell people what's coming up, where I'll be, and where they can find programs like this, you know, to listen to. So that's best. They can go to my Facebook at facebook.com/V as in Von Braschler. And, you know, as for that, you know, my books are out there online, Barnes and Noble and so forth. And we'll just keep plugging away and fighting the good fight. I think that the future is going to look bright.
I think so too. All right. Now I'll put a link to your Facebook page and to your Amazon page in the notes of this episode, so my
Yeah.
listeners can find you. It's kind of interesting. I go to your Amazon page and I'll see little links to everything imaginable.
Yeah, everything imaginable. Well, that covers a lot, doesn't it? Yeah. I tell people I'm gonna be on everything imaginable. He says, "Wow, that's a lot." Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much I can't even really imagine it.
Exactly. It's everything. Well, thank you, Gary. It's been great.
Thank you. And just hang on for one moment, and I'm just going to play the outro.